I actually love reading books. I think it's a very important topic or hobby, should I say, to look at. So I like reading historical books. I like reading religious books. I like reading fiction that has got some research, some fact base behind it. Like, for example, Sherlock Holmes. I like Islamic history. As a convert, I like reading about Sirah, but moving on from that, I'm now looking at ancient history and Islam's place in that. So, for example, Roman history, Greek history. I'm reading that, but I want to read that just before the advent of Islam, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was younger, we used to be told about history in the schools I was in.
In the UK, right?
In the UK, when they were telling me about Vikings, and I saw these blonde-haired, blue-eyed men with horns, and they were saying, "These are your ancestors," I would look around and think, "They're not my ancestors." So, for example, when I started became a Muslim, I wanted to review what I knew about history, and it wasn't that much. So I started reviewing from Islamic history. I started reviewing, like many black people do. We review about African history, the slave trade, and what came before that. So I'm very, very interested in that type of history. I find your generation today prefer to watch the adaptations of books into movies, and for my generation, we always find that the book has much more than the movie. The movie's good because it has all of the effects, special effects and everything, but with a book, you can really let your imagination run, and your imagination can run more than a movie can. Fiction. For me, when I was younger, when I was your age, I liked, and you all know of them now, but they were relatively unknown in those days. I used to love Stephen King. I used to love reading his books and sitting up all night reading the books. So there's Stephen King. There was another that is lesser known than he is. Have you heard of James Herbert?
No,
James Herbert wrote, it was Stephen King and James Herbert. I prefer to read, if I'm reading fiction, I don't read much fiction, but if I was to read fiction, it would be around, I love Star Wars.
Okay, Star Wars.
It would be around those types of stories. I think that a good fiction book emulates reality and then jumps into a realm of what is not unbelievable, but is achievable in the future. So, for example, we're sitting here, I don't know if you watched The Matrix, this was an old film. The Matrix, I think, was successful in the sense that it kept jumping into reality and out of reality, and like, this could happen. When you hear of George Orwell books, 1984, similar. Things like this. It's like Animal Farm, the book Animal Farm as well. Yeah. It's talking through symbols about realities that we're actually facing. I think if it keeps very close to reality and shows a trajectory or a path that one can go down, if, for example, there's societal decay, and it shows, like, let's say, for example, you would know them better than me. There's some movies that came out recently where it shows only the children are left because society had imploded upon itself and a new birth was going to be born. Like, I think is it The Maze Runner was one of them. And then you've got, what was the latest, what was the famous trilogy that came out recently? Hunger Games. These type of movies here, okay, they were directed and children, but you're seeing that the theme of those movies is that society has imploded upon itself and now they've been isolated into various factions. if it's moving along that sort of line that keeps a level of realism that this is what we've done to ourselves and this is the result, it can make people start thinking and evoke a discussion, a debate. But if it's total fantasy, there's no way that's going to help society unless everyone wants to just live as escapists, in escapism. You're
We're
welcome.
sorry to